something interesting's just been unlocked. So let's talk about it. I don't really need to focus on it. Clean it up. The rain fall. You know, like the rain show. So it really starts. Alright, so I'm just gonna cut right to it. I was talking to your mom last night. No, I'm kidding. I've been doing a lot of thoughts about ancestral anything. Whether it's the family line, your genetics, your, whatever, your DNA. Now, I did end up doing that DNA test thing, whatever, from Ancestry.com. Ancestry, whatever. And, the results don't matter. They were good for me, interesting, and obvious for me. Apparently, I'm the whitest of white. Who would have thought? Now, that got me thinking about stuff. And as I was looking into the family lineage, and I chose the Baker line, like I said before, and I went back, I may have found some pretty crazy connections, which give me much hope and much, what's the word I'm looking for? Pride. I'm hoping I'm related to this man here. I'm hoping I'm related to that man there. I really am. That would be fucking sweet. I don't know yet. I can't prove it. There is a 22 there, so we'll find out. Now, just all this stuff's in my mind, and honestly, this stuff is really key and important, not only to my life, but also the book I'm writing. So, been having a day where I've been thinking about this stuff, and what happened was I ended up doing a little stream of consciousness writing. I'm going to read it real quick and just see what it invokes, okay? I would coin it the line of Ancestral. That is a place that we can pull from. For it is within our very minds that our ancestors can see. For you see, they are within us, and we are the fractal nature of their transcendence. As one man dies, so does he live through the family line. Not just as memory, but rather as a living being, one that can be accessed in ourselves. For you see, we have thousands upon thousands of personalities writhing within us, and it is in those very personalities they hide. It is my belief that my forebears are inside my very mind now, and that mind is the vehicle of our transport. For my very perceptions are indeed theirs, and all the spirits that dwell within are their thoughts and actions as much as they are mine. We are linked. So as we move forward with ancestral thought, which is the culmination of discovery that waits inside to be unraveled, like a forgotten thought or memory, even a lost skill that can hide inside. Though we would need triggers to access this, I believe that is why we can find a link to objects or even places that are so foreign, but also so very dear to our hearts. This, I swear, is the case, one that I will endeavor to discover is true, a truth that will change the way mankind progresses forward and how we think about what is deemed genetics. What are genetics? How can they affect us? In what way do they dictate that which is before us now? A series of code that is predetermined and clear as to what may affect us on a molecular level, or rather a road that can be transcended and traveled down? Now, it is true I myself do not understand the science of it, but I can understand that which goes into the realm of the unexplained, for that is my highway of thought, that place in which I seek all my unanswered query. For you see, that place is where numbers simply cannot reach, and it is because of that I can freely go, for numbers of man hold no bearing on me. They ground me not, and I myself have long ago freed myself from the trappings of man, in that sense. Who am I? Am I a series of thoughts that are processed from a brain, or am I a conduit to that which came before me? For there was always a source, a place in which all begins. Does that not take the case in thought as well? For it is within our words and feelings we commune with those around us. So it is in those words they hold more weight than we can say. As in, can they themselves carry more than sound and meaning? What if in those words they can hold great data, like that of a computer? Data that is in need of translation. Data that is like an idle code waiting within our minds. that lie there waiting to be unraveled. As to the source of this data, we could say God. But what if God is a vehicle to traverse us on a path to find our ancestral source, instead of a higher being that watches over us, as is always explained? God, a realm or vehicle to which we can traverse the etchings inside our mind. If not a source, then perhaps a map, something we can follow like a compass, a cardinal point in which change can never affect. And along the path, or strings, are the layers of our ancestral thought that lie deep under our emotional barnacles that are formed with the memory of our waking life. So what lie beneath those created memories are ancestral ties that can trace us back to our great source. On that we deem as the creator, and from that point, ascension knows no bounds. That's the theory anyway. So it's like, what if the people that lived before us, all the thoughts that they've ever had will translate to their children? So like you say shit to them, like don't do this, do that. And the way you are, your children pick up on, right? And you can kind of see this played out when it comes to whatever that's called, where great pains felt in the family can kind of carry through. You know, like the survivors of the big Jewish Holocaust, their grandchildren can still kind of feel that. Not only because it's taught quietly, like, you know, like their own anxiety, their own fears, they can pass on to their young ones this kind of traumatic incident, and the younger ones can kind of pick up on that, and they themselves can do it. It's within those that memory can be unlocked, and from that point, unlocking of the memory is where you find the lives that were lived. And so I think maybe within the lives that were lived, in the actions that happened before, in the past, are where ghosts, we could deem them, inhabit. Ghosts are the manifestation of an emotional state that which one felt in the past before us. And in that passing, perhaps that is the thing that we can use to guide us. And so as I wrote out there, like something that your ancestor thought, felt, and did can be passed down. And it can be watered down, but it will always be in there. And it becomes like a code. You know, like your computer of a mind has. It has all these codes that it doesn't do it all the time. It doesn't need to access the code to turn this thing on. It doesn't need to access the code to make that happen. It's not happening, and it hasn't happened in a while. But it's still in there, and you can find a way to trigger that. And maybe it's through the deja vu, which is that thing that I talked about in my book, where I talk about the imprint of time, where I talked about how time works in the book, where it's like you have to manifest these things from between what is like subconscious and conscious. And that would be, as I termed, manifested and unmanifested. And so that's inside of our minds there, and we ourselves find us on the chains of time, which dictate that which is, I guess that what can hold us and make us go forward, are the past. I always want to say present, but it's not. Past and future are the driving forces. So I'm thinking on those chains of time is like the ancestral ties, like the links to that which came before us. But in that moment, so those deja vu or those ancestral emotions that we can access are like the imprints. And from that, we can use it as like a sort of compass, I guess. That's what I'm wondering, if maybe something's going on. If indeed maybe we have, I am stumbling on something much deeper. Like, cause that's only surface level. I'm trying to like explain it, but I'm also trying not to like get into the weird. You know how like you talk to there's a scientist who's like, I understand string theory, and you watch them try to explain it very simply. Well, I have my own version of the weird shit that I think of, that it's not like other people know what I'm talking about. It's just only me, and I gotta find ways to translate this to someone that has no fucking idea. And it's hard sometimes. The people that came before you are within your mind, for they themselves and the things they said and did can be accessed through the things you learned about them and from them. As in, I learned something from my father, who learned something from his father, who learned something from his father. Well, if I was alive in any of those guys' times, they might access in my mind too, but they don't. So if my grandfather was mean to my father, then my father can accidentally do that to me, right? You always want to be better than your father. Well, you could unlearn that, or you could relearn that. From that fact, it's maybe just something from a physical understanding in which we, on this realm, understand, as in a trauma. Your grandfather abused your father. Let's pretend. Your father formed his mind because of that, and now that will affect you in the way he raises you. It can be that simple, but it's also much more difficult and deeper than that, to which the world of psychology will never truly understand. It's more than that, because there's more of a genetic code that is involved in that. So they can say we are, what is that term that they always say? It's nature versus nurture, something like that. Your environment can affect the way you go forward. So if we can search within our minds deeply, we can access something that our father put in there, or mother. And then we can kind of start to access what's been put in them. And that vehicle, I would think, is empathy. And from that point, we can start to unravel into the past. Because everyone that's ever passed away has a memory that's within your mind. So you know someone right now that's alive and they die. Well, they're in here, aren't they? I can't think of outside of family, but I can only think of internal, like ancestral things. Why are we so caught up in where we came from? Why do we give a shit about where we came from? I think it's to unravel something. I think it's like, why do people love mythology? Those are the stories of what happened before that have been mythologized, right? I'm thinking it has something to do with that. Now, I'll be interested in to hear anyone's opinions on this, because I might feel like a crazy person. But you must understand, right now, I just stream of consciousness talking. So I don't know if what I'm saying is ridiculous or not. But I would love to have a discussion with anyone who, But I would love to have a discussion with anyone who has any opinions on this as well. Because I don't know, it's just like, this shit just hit me, and it's just like, fuck. I don't know if this is I'm definitely going to continue to maybe look into this and keep writing whatever the fuck this paper is, and see if I can link it to the book, as I always do, but I do think there's something there. Maybe some of those words hit you. Maybe you can explain to me what you think. That'd be kind of cool.